Okay, we're gonna do this transfer from ZBrush to Maya process as you requested. Depending on what kind of final package you want to go for, game engine or software rendering like movies or animation, you may have different approaches. For game, you can go to Maya and really retopologize it with a lot more lower resolution. For animation, you can go overboard and to reserve most of the details. Okay, but either way, we need this model to be exported. But before we do that, though, if you turn up Lab Boolean, you can see we use Lab Boolean in ZBrush here like this, but it's not going to be transferable to Maya if we don't convert those into a actual geometry. So let's turn that Lab Boolean on and go to Sub2 and then Boolean and turn on the division. Dynamic subdivision and then make Boolean mesh. What this does is going to go through the process and really convert the live Boolean into an actual Boolean result, so that way it's a geometry now. You cannot tweak them anymore, but they're geometry, so you can export those as models for Maya to retopologize. Okay, when that is done, you can see now our model is still the same, but there is a new model called UMeshed, and this one will be the one that is Boolean back together. Okay. All right. So before we transfer this back, this is one more thing I want to do to make things easier for the texturing process, which is I'm going to create the ID maps for my model. Let's go to the basic material so it's easier to see colors. Okay. For example, I want this to be some sort of like, you know, a material that is kind of like transparent even. And that's going to be different compared to the other parts, right? So I have to figure out a way to tell them to be different, and that's going to be an ID map. To do so, I need to separate the colors into two different individual colors. Okay. Oh, another thing you probably already see is that it combines almost everything together in this new 2, because in the old Z2 we have 3 Lab Boolean objects. This one, and this one. 3 start, and that's going to be how many you will end up with when you combine them together, which is not a big deal. We can still separate those guys. It's a good way of organizing, combining stuff, so I'm not complaining about that. Anyway, I'm going to go ahead and Control Shift and drag this part, and Control Shift A to grow all. Oh, they're also all Boolean together. That's one issue too. So yeah, it's going to be a problem. Then I kind of wanted them to be separated also. So that's not going to be feasible. I'm going to go back to my old guy here. And then to avoid that, I can go actually do those Lab Booleans manually myself. I'm going to go delete this guy. I don't need this guy anymore. Right. So for the Lab Boolean wise, this guy is actually not really Lab Boolean with anything. Right, it shouldn't, or oh, it's actually Lab Boolean with that. So I'm gonna go grab these 3. That's the 3 Lab Booleans. That's the handle here. The handle should be a new Lab Boolean, and I'm gonna check that out. But it doesn't really Lab Boolean with anything, so basically not. Anyway, so what I'm gonna do here is I'm gonna just find out my Lab Boolean pieces. That this is the subtractive piece, right? That piece doesn't really matter. So I'm going to bring this guy up, select this guy, and turn up Lab Boolean and make sure that the subtractive is still there. So what we can do here is just merge those two together by doing a merge down and hit OK. Alright. Now they're merged. Then I'm going to make those guys, the pink ones, the subtractive shapes. Oops. You know, let's do this. Just Control Shift and click on them. Should isolate those guys. I'm just wondering if they have different polygroups. Anyway, And I need them to be a subtractive shape, so down to the polygroup, I'm gonna group those guys, group as dynamic subdivision, so now they're a white colored polygroup. When that is done, then I can really do the live Boolean. Before I do that, I probably also wanted to go delete the subdivision level, which I should have done that earlier, but they're gone now anyways. Oh wow. So let's actually do the trick here to actually convert this into a Boolean out result from the white polygroups. Press W button and go to that little gear here, and then choose this remesh by unit. What this does is gonna do the same code that has been used in its make Boolean mesh, but only on the twos that I'm selecting now. So now this one is live Boolean without affecting others, without adding new Z2 like this. So that's a manual way of doing that. Anyway, press Q button, go back to edit draw mode. I'm gonna go do that thing here too on this guy. So I'm gonna grab this guy again, turn off the start, and that's the only thing it's using to subtract. This time, let's actually do that little trick here first. Let's go to the polygroup here. Just make them subtraction here first before we merge. That's easier, right? So let's grab the top guy here and merge down. So now they're merged together. Whoops. Redid the polygroup. Anyway, I'm gonna Control Shift and click on this guy, and then do that little thing again, right? Group as dynamic subdivision, so now they're subtractive shape. Now you. Okay. Anyway, I was seeing that's white, so Control Shift, click on it, and Control W to reassign a polygroup for that guy. Anyway. So just make sure that subtractive shape will be the one that is with the white polygroup. And then we do that little trick again. Press W, go to the gear, and we do this remesh by union. It's gonna go through the process again and do the union remesh. Depending on how much geometry you have, this may take a long time, so you just have to be patient. Let me pause this. Alright, it's done. It says that the Boolean operation has succeeded, but several warnings were reported during the process. So may not contain a few inaccuracies. Let's take a look at that. It looks fine to me, so I'm gonna say yeah, not worried. So that's gonna be, oops, we should have actually subdivided our cylinder before we do that. So anyway, I think I can live with that for now, but if you don't like that, you can go back and subdivide your cylinders before you do this, right? Anyway, so yeah, that's how you manually do this instead of asking the live Boolean to do that for you. This one, I don't think it's even live Boolean at all, so I'm gonna turn that off. Whoops. Yeah, it's not. And then moving on to the last live Boolean, let's just do that one more time, right? We have this guy here now. Now this time, let's do it with subdivision level on this guy. So I'm gonna Control D to subdivide it twice, and go geometry. I'm gonna do delete lower, so that's not having subdivision level. And then I'm gonna Control W to make sure that they're one single group. When that is done, I can then safely go back and merge them down. And then I'm going to Control Shift and click on that single group, and then give them a dynamic subdivision group, so they're white when you look at the polygroup. Let's go ahead and do that little trick again. Right. So go to the gear by after click the W button, and then you do this remesh by union. Now you can see it's a smoother result on the edge. Alright, that's going to be all the live Boolean being resolved, right? Okay. The next thing I want to talk about again is how do I have different colors assigned so that I can, make my texturing process easier. In this case, I'm going to grab this guy here, and if you look at the wireframe, it's having different polygroups. I'm going to Control W to give it just one polygroup. Okay, now back to this guy's not a start anymore. One polygroup, and this guy I can maybe do something a little bit more interesting, because I want the middle part maybe to be something different, who knows. So you probably already remember that in the Polypaint we do have some color before. Oh, you know what, we lost that because of the union thing. So anyway, I'm going to Control W to give them one single polygroup. Okay, and then I need to define this area to be a different polygroup, so that's easier for me. You know what, we can keep leave this for later in the texturing process anyways, if we lost that already. Anyway, so that's one polygroup. Sphere will be a different polygroup, right? And that's the handle. Okay, that's cool. Let me give them one single group. Okay, so this time let's see if we can do something a little bit more interesting. I'm gonna go to the polygroup, and then I'm gonna try this group. Oh, not polygroup actually. We have to do masking here first. I was like, what's going on? So masking wise, you can use masking to get some cool result if you can, like mask peak and valleys. See, now we have those edges being masked. That's probably not what I want, but you can use this to do something even cooler. But yeah, that's not what I want. Let's see, mask by cavity. Doesn't really help me that much either. Mask by AO will be the slow one, which is gonna check AOs and mask them. I want to figure out a way to separate the shell on the top from the bottom. We should have done that actually earlier when we're doing the noise part, right? When we're doing the noise, we can actually also give them polygroup right away, so that it's guaranteed to be remembered, and not guaranteed actually to give them polygroup and convert polygroup into color. It's a very important process, but let's see if we can still get those things back, right? Go to surface and noise. Oh, the noise is still there. All right, I'm gonna go to the actually don't do that. I go to the mask by noise. It's gonna mask these guys. Control click to reverse that. I want those guys to be assigned with a color, so I'm gonna go for Polypaint and enable colorize. Okay, and then I'm gonna go to the color BST standard brush using RGB colors and pick a red color like this. Go for a color fill object. That's gonna fill those guys into a red color. Clear the mask. Now I need to go ahead and find out my old alpha I used for the outer layer. I'm gonna do that too here. So let me go ahead and find it. It's gonna be in the noise. Go to edit and go there. Alpha on, and let's see where is it. I'm not quite sure because it's been a while. Let me pause the video and find it. Alright, I believe this is the one I use, so I'm gonna go use that one again. Zoom in, take a look. Now again, the size will be wrong, so I have to actually try to make it right. So make space noise 0, alpha scale. Let's see which is the right scale. That seems to be like it. Okay, and we're gonna hit OK. Whoops. Doesn't feel right. Go edit again. Yeah, that seems to be matching exactly with all the lines. Hit OK. Right. And then we're gonna mask by noise again. Oh, you know what? They're not. Darn it. Let's go clear that and go to edit again. So, let's see. I'm afraid that I cannot really find it anymore because that was one of the things that we should have done earlier if we consider the texturing process. Somehow that does feels like it, but it doesn't. .01. Yeah, that's it. Okay. So again, I want this so that I can go apply that. Right. Control click to invert that. I'm gonna give this one a different polygroup. So I guess I have to. Yeah, that should be it. So go to the color, change a different color to maybe green, and then fill object. Now I'm making this part green. Okay, so the outer shell can be a green color. I do have some mismatching. I think that's because the placement or the inflation I have done earlier. So it would be again better if we can do that in the earlier stage. But for now, that's all I can do now. Okay. Yeah. So that's gonna be this one, right? Let's go ahead and check others. So we have this. What's this? So this is the original model. Don't need that anymore, so I'm gonna delete it. For the straps, right, we're gonna do a auto group. So again, just to have different colors. Okay. That's our blade, which is done already, and that. Okay, so now we have only these subtools. I'm gonna go to this one and do a Polypaint and Polypaint from Polygroups. That's gonna give me the Polypaint color, right? So that's how I assign color. And this one we're gonna do the same thing. So this one we're already having that, so it's fun. And this guy, and blade is done. This guy, and eventually this guy. And this doesn't feel like it's really that different, so I'm gonna give it a different polygroup. Let's try it again. Or I can manually do like a different color if I think I'm just having two similar colors. Can make it maybe it's kind of like darker orange, and do a color fill object that can also do the job. I want this guy to be different. At least for me, it's distinguishable. You know, that I can separate those things. So this guy, distinguishable. So yellow here. That's blue, and sometimes it's fun because this blue and that blue, they're far away from each other. I can easily create another mask to separate those guys. So basically you can prepare this step to have like an ID map from Polypaint, and that actually can be recognized in Substance Painter. So when we're done with that, we can then merge everything together. So I'm going to do this simple command called merge visible. So to merge everything into a new 2, which is merged. And then we're going to go for a export. Now when you do export, make sure that underneath export you don't have the group on. That's important. Otherwise they're going to separate into all different pieces. Okay. And then we're going to export this guy as high res. So high res. Okay, save. Now this is the full resolution of our model. We want a version of that, which is going to be used for baking. For retopologizing, we need another model, which is a decimated one that can, have better performance. So we need that one too. Let's wait for this to finish. Okay, it's done. And we're going to go to the Z plugin decimation master. If you're using newer versions of ZBrush 2018, you can just tell it to be like 35K of geometry is going to do that, or you can do that pre-processing current and define a amount. But the newer version have those presets to exactly tell it like how many faces you want to end up with, and it's going to go through that and do the job. Okay. So I'm going to pause this. So it's done, and that's the low poly we need. I'm kidding. We need something much more than that. So let me Control Z. I'm gonna do that manually then, just to show you. Right, I was picking it such a low polygon. So let's pre-process current here first. So go through the process and process the model. Alright, it's done. Then we can really specifically define how much I want. So let's go to the Z plugin, stock it. And then how many percent you want to reserve, you can try it here first, 20%, right? Let's do decimate current. And you can see now it's a simpler geometry, right? And if you want it to be even lower than that, because it's still like 1.some million, so you can just drag that down to maybe 8% and decimate current. And then go lower than that. Right. So as long as it's not over 1 million, Maya can handle it nicely, so don't worry too much about getting too low. I think I'm okay with it. But again, this is for bigger shapes, right? I still have my old model that does have all the detail I have exported, so I'm not worrying too much about this guy getting low. So I'll go even lower to like 3%. To just get a little bit more lower, and that should be fine. I'm gonna go ahead and export this guy too. And this is gonna be the retopologized retopology base model. So export that base or high for Retopo. Alright, that's the other model we need, and this tutorial is getting too long, right? So I'm gonna stop this. In the next one, we're gonna go in Maya and really start to do some topology. Okay, see you next time.